It's your boy Jay back with another reaction video, whatever's on the noggin, where we sit here and discuss about whatever's on the noggin. I would truly appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. Hit that like button below. You see that bell icon in the corner? Hit it so you can be notified when my videos drop. And as always, giving credit to the content creator of these videos. Let's get into this. The Truth from Within 17. I ain't gonna really talk too much over this. This is Black History. You know, they trying to get rid of Black History. You get what I'm saying? But the truth will never be hidden, or you get what I'm saying? What's done in the dark will eventually come to the light. So, like I said, I ain't gonna say much on here. All of this on here is truth, just facts, truth. So let's get into it.
Black people worked too hard to become black Americans in this society, and we were slaves here. And we did a lot of free work.
Do you realize that only less than 2% of white Americans own slaves?
Jillian, I'm surprised that you're trying to litigate who was the beneficiary of slavery and
I'm not.
And it makes sense to me that someone like Jillian Michaels would say something like this. She is from a reality TV show. She's known for the show The Biggest Loser. It was a show where they would bring on people who were overweight, struggling with image and everything, and they would help them lose weight by making them do slavery.
Y'all, Katt Williams just went off on Jillian Michaels, and the receipts are insane.
Aren't you ready to get this racism past us? Like, no white person in here has ever had a slave a day in your life. Don't you want to get this the off of you? Pay those mother reparations.
So you know how Jillian went on CNN to downplay slavery and claimed we just need to stop talking about it because less than 2% of white Americans owned slaves? Well, Katt now wants to know how come it's fine to tell black people to forget slavery, but certain other groups are never told to just get over it when it comes to their historical trauma. Black people are expected to move on from slavery, from centuries of brutal oppression, Jim Crow, redlining, mass incarceration, and ongoing police violence. But other groups get official remembrance days, museums, school curriculum, government-funded research, and countless Hollywood movies.
Why is that? I mean, I know the truth. I know why. Come, let us cut them off for being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. That's what that is. But we remember. The ones that want the woke is what they call it. The woke, the people that's awakened. The woke, yeah, we remember who we really is and what's required of us to do to get up out of the slavery.
And if you dare to question any of this, it's pretty much over for you, especially if you work in the entertainment industry. Meanwhile, Jillian Michaels can say on national TV that slavery wasn't that bad because only 2% of white people were slave owners, which, by the way, is factually incorrect.
Of course it is.
Now, as you guys know, Katt doesn't just make jokes, he delivers lessons. And this time, he came with receipts to destroy Jillian's whole persona.
So I'm not allowed to then come back the next day and apologize. That's for the Tracy Morgans of the world. I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. Don't come here talking to sons of slaves about that.
So Katt Williams just spazzed out on Jillian Michaels, and he did not hold back. And from the moment he addressed her CNN comments, it was clear he wasn't here to play nice. And he didn't just call out Jillian for her slavery comments, he dragged the whole idea that white people get offended when called racist. And Katt's point was simple. If white people are really upset about being labeled a racist, then maybe the energy should go toward doing something about it, like paying reparations for centuries of stolen labor, land, and wealth.
White friend, don't you want to get slavery behind you? You ain't never had a slave in your mother life. Get this past you. You pay them reparations, racism is dead.
That's true.
Get it past you, white friends.
And then Katt got a little more serious and said, There's a darker reason people like Jillian want you to just stop talking about slavery. He said the reason people like Jillian want black people to just forget slavery is all about control and narrative.
Yep.
They want everyone to think slavery ended because of white people's generosity, not because enslaved black people, especially black women, fought tooth and nail to resist, survive, and reclaim their freedom.
They don't even talk about slavery in America, you know why? Because they don't want to give no credit to the people that got black people out of slavery in the first place. They don't want them to get no shine. So they erased it from history. But I'll say it right here in front of the world. Black women got black people out of slavery.
That's true facts.
In America. That's
Black women.
Facts.
Yep.
As a group, black women did that.
And that's the part they don't want you to see. The rebellions, the escapes, the leadership of women and men who organized, led, and survived against impossible odds. So when Jillian defends Trump for wanting to remove slavery exhibits from museums, she's basically saying we should rewrite history, and if you have a problem with it, you just need to get over it. Now, in case you missed it, that whole conversation about slavery on CNN started over Trump declaring war on the Smithsonian and other institutions because, in his opinion, they focus too much on how bad slavery was. This is what Trump wrote on his Truth social media platform. The museums throughout Washington, but all over the country, are essentially...
I'm going to read it. The museums throughout Washington, but all over the country, are essentially the last remaining segment of woke. So I guess woke means people that's woken up to reality. That know who they are, who remember. The Smithsonian is out of control, where everything is discussed is how horrible our country is. No, everything that discussed tells the truth of how our country is, that it was built off of lies, bloodshed. That's all that's telling you about.
The last remaining segment of woke. The Smithsonian is out of control, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been.
Slavery was bad. Wasn't a good thing.
Nothing about success, nothing about brightness, nothing about the future. We are not going to allow this to happen, and I have instructed my attorneys to go through the museums and start the exact same process that has been done with
It's no different from what the Vatican damn hiring. Like, Putin just came out with that, the Black Jesus thing. That's been out. Russian iconoclasm or something like that. You see what I'm saying? That stuff been out for some time now, but as black folks, we don't sit here and we don't research shit. You listen to you parakeet what these pork cheating pastors in the pulpit teach you lies and love while we still get killed out here. We still fill up the population in the jail systems, but we want to push love. That's that different spirit.
Colleges and universities, where tremendous progress has been made. Meanwhile, the White House
come teaching a different gospel or a different spirit. That love, that's that different
also
spirit.
Published a list on its official website of all the exhibitions they want to remove because they focus too much on race. And Trump already signed this executive order telling places like the Smithsonian to get rid of their exhibits because, according to him, they make the country look bad. So when Jillian defends this kind of thinking, it's basically her saying we should rewrite history to make it look like slavery wasn't that big of a deal, and it was just a tiny percentage of white people.
He's not whitewashing slavery. So he's not? He's not. No, okay. He's not. And you cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact that when you
can't tie slavery,
let's talk about the fact
slavery in America was.
Do you realize that only less than 2% of white Americans owned slaves?
But it was a system of white supremacy.
You realize that slavery is thousands of years old?
Yeah, he's trying to tell us.
It was the first race to try to end slavery? Well, what's controversial?
Now, first off, the conversation was specifically about American slavery. So Jillian's argument is just gaslighting. And let's clear this up once and for all, because Jillian's comment about other races had slaves too. Sounds smart if you don't think about it for more than 2 seconds.
If you don't research it.
Technically, slavery has existed in a lot of cultures throughout history.
Listen, black
However,
people.
American slavery was unique in several ways.
And learn.
First of all, slavery in America was specifically based on skin color. In other societies, people were enslaved for different reasons: war captives, debt, punishment, and many of them could eventually buy freedom or work their way out. But in the US, if you were black, you were enslaved for life, and not just you, your children and your children's children. That's called chattel slavery,
That's
where
the
human
difference.
beings are treated as property, passed down like furniture. And no other system in modern history industrialized slavery by skin color like America did.
American chattel.
So that's the difference for y'all black people. That like, well, white people had other people enslaved. It wasn't channel. It's not the same.
Slavery was unlike any other system of enslavement in history due to its permanence, racialization, and extreme dehumanization. Unlike ancient slavery, where individuals could sometimes earn their freedom, marry into society, or hold status, American slavery was hereditary. Children born to enslaved mothers were enslaved for life, with no legal pathway to freedom. This system was codified into law, ensuring that black people were permanently seen as property, not individuals with rights. And while some point out that Africans participated in the slave trade by selling captives to Europeans, it is crucial to recognize that the system that they contributed to was vastly different from the chattel slavery that emerged in the Americas. African societies engaged in slavery as a byproduct of war or debt, often with opportunities for eventual freedom. What Europeans created was industrialized systems that permanently dehumanized an entire race with no possibility of liberation or dignity.
And American slavery wasn't just cultural. It was written into the law of the land. From the Constitution's 3/5 Compromise to the Fugitive Slave Act, the U.S. government explicitly protected white supremacy and the ownership of black people.
They fought wars, they led revolts, they built America. But in the U.S. Constitution, they were counted as 3/5 of a person. Not a full human, not even close. This wasn't a glitch, it was the law. In 1787, during the writing of the Constitution, the U.S. made a deal. To give southern states more power, every 5 enslaved black people would count as 3/5. That's how slave states got more seats in Congress while keeping millions in chains.
And that means it wasn't just a few bad individuals. The entire state was structured around it. So Jillian Michaels acting like it was a random 2% of white people is flat out false, because all white people benefited from the system, whether they owned slaves or not. In fact,
all white people benefited from the system. All white people.
The entire U.S. economy was built on slavery. Cotton, tobacco, sugar, those crops weren't just industries. They were the industries. Cotton alone was called King Cotton because by the mid-1800s, it made up more than half of America's exports. And who picked it? Enslaved black people.
That's right.
And that money didn't just stay in the pockets of plantation owners. It built banks in New York, shipping companies in Boston, factories in the North. Every corner of the country was cashing in.
Couldn't have built the biggest economy in the world without us.
Right.
It was actually built because of us.
This is true.
The largest reverse transfer of wealth, arguably in world history, in modern history, is black slavery.
Yep.
That's not me making an emotional statement. I'm not throwing darts.
Speaking facts.
It's a fact.
Right.
Because it doesn't have an opinion.
Right.
And the fact is, we're the largest economy in the world. The fact is, the first millionaire in America came from cotton, financing it out of New York City.
Right.
The fact is that black slaves were worth more than railroads. Our railroads were arguably the most valuable asset in the 19th and part of the 20th century. Blacks were twice that. Yeah. The fact is that we work for free for 270 some odd years. Nothing better than free labor. And the fact is that we couldn't create wealth, we couldn't create assets because we were assets. Bought, trade, insured, finance, underwritten. We were literally, whether if you're a bank, if you're a finance company, if you're an insurance company, if you were a trading company, I mean, 1 out of 5 people in the world at a certain point in the 1800s were involved or connected to cotton Well, where did cotton come from? In the world. It came from us.
Right.
So when Jillian says, stop blaming white people, she's ignoring that those same roads, universities, and corporations that made America great were literally funded by...
Don't forget cotton. You use cotton for clothes and all clothes too. So the clothes that you see too.
Slave labor profits. And even the poor white folks who couldn't afford slaves still got something out of the system.
Of course.
They weren't chained. They weren't whipped. They weren't sold away from their kids. They could vote, own land, get jobs, and walk free without a slave catcher asking for papers. And that safety and status came directly from living in a world where black people were dehumanized. So yeah, they weren't technically slave owners, but they were still on the winning team. And also, that wealth never went away. When slavery ended, the profits didn't disappear. Families that owned plantations kept their land.
That's why I said slavery is economics now. When they abolished slavery, which they didn't, still to this day you can read about people being across the world being slaves, black people. But that's for another topic. But it became economics. That's what I'm trying to tell everybody. Slavery is economics. It's money now. It's okay. Well, what's that? Last hired, first fired type thing. You get what I'm saying? That's what it became. Even though slavery had been abolished, the wealth that they got from that still stayed around and is still around to this day.
Banks that financed slavery kept their money. Insurance companies that insured slaves kept those premiums.
See?
That generational wealth still circulates today.
To this day.
Meanwhile, black families started from zero, actually less than zero, because they were denied land and opportunity by law. And anytime black Americans did manage to build something for themselves, the system came in and burned it down. Yep. Remember Black Wall Street in Tulsa? In the early 1900s, black people had their own banks, their own businesses, their own thriving community. They were proving they...
Look it up, black people. It's called Black Wall Street. We had all of that at one time ourselves. Let's see what the white people did.
Handouts. They were building wealth on their own terms. And what happened? In 1921, white mobs, backed by the police and government.
White mobs, backed by the police and the government. Backed by the police and the government. So that's the same white people that they were saying that didn't benefit from, that wasn't a part of slavery. Them same white people are now backed up by the mob and the government to come in and do what?
Bombed it from the sky and burned it to the ground.
Burned it from see, you need I know more history on this too. They ain't only bomb it, they also came through there like she said, a mob came through there and was killing people, killing black people, and burnt their business down. It's also a song that y'all may know that the Gap Band created. They dropped the bomb on me, baby. They dropped that bomb. They was referencing this right here that had happened.
Hundreds were killed, thousands were left homeless, and millions in black wealth were wiped out overnight.
See?
But with Trump now declaring war on museums and changing school curriculum,
that's what he's trying to get rid of. That's the black history. That shit that should be around, because if this was taught, that'd give black kids motivation to do what's right, not all this propaganda and all these rap songs and stuff and killing and shit. That shit got to go. And it will eventually.
All this history to be memory hold.
Give it some time.
Right there is why Jillian defending Trump and saying "don't blame white people" argument is not just wrong, it's insulting. Because America didn't become America in spite of slavery. America became America because of slavery. But Trump is out here saying we should stop talking about slavery because it makes America look bad. And let's be real, when Trump says make America great again, the again isn't referring to some magical time of prosperity and equality. He's talking about the time when white people had unchecked power, when segregation was law, and yes, when slavery itself made America rich. That's the greatness they want back. And that's exactly what Cat pointed out. He said this whole forget slavery talk is really a distraction tactic. See, the agenda isn't just to stop talking about slavery. The agenda is to make sure black people never unite around the truth of it. Because unity means power. And power means you can't be controlled, can't be manipulated, can't be sold the same lie twice.
If you had the ability to control the black people on this planet, there isn't anything that you couldn't take, dismantle, destroy, or interrupt. If you could mobilize black people.
Unity.
And so part of the ops agenda, a part of their modus operandi, is to find out which one of you is a potential leader. And if you are, then we begin a work of progress on your life, which will make people get off of that. It's a part of it, as much as in any defense, you trying to figure out which way this dude is likely to go, so I can rip that ball. It's the same. You probably wonder, why do white people pay so much attention to black people if they don't like them? You would think if you didn't like something, why would you be paying attention to it? I don't pay attention to things I don't like. The liar knows what lie he told. You see what I'm saying? So even if I made it deceitful and I made you think that the answer is over here, but the answer is really over here,
I'm still looking.
I'm still gonna be looking over here. Me, the one that tricked, because I know this is the right answer. Black people have lost their identity, but our oppressors have not lost our identity.
They know who we are. They know who we are. They just, when you come to somebody and you tell them, look, you're Israelite, they're like, what? No, that's not me. I'm a black African American. Y'all sound stupid. Go research this shit. You look at Nicki Minaj video while she twerking and shaking her ass, some shit like that. Go research this. What would it hurt? Would it hurt you just to research it? Just to see if it's true? Research it, because it's true. This is black history.
That's just why they chopped those noses off of the Pharaoh and the Sphinx in Egypt in the first place. Is because without this nose, we can tell you this is whoever it is. But with that nose, it can only be. Why would somebody vandalize a whole face and only vandalize one part? Nobody wanted to knock an eye off or take an ear off.
Just the nose and the hair.
No chins.
The hair down there.
Just the nose. Because it's a brand.
But here's another part that makes Jillian's comments so disturbing. This is a woman who's literally raising a black child. And yet, she literally said white supremacy isn't the problem in the US. Instead, she said we need to focus on getting rid of black degeneracy. And yes, those were her exact words.
We constantly talk about white supremacy, but we look the other way with black degeneracy.
Imagine adopting a black daughter from Haiti, then publicly using terms like black degeneracy. That's not just hypocritical, that's evil. Because how do you look your own daughter in the face and tell her the real issue in this country is the degeneracy of her race? That's insane. And that's white Jillian is now being dragged to hell on social media. And some folks are even saying someone needs to check on Jillian's daughter, because if this is the type of stuff she says in public, who knows what she's saying inside her own house? So now people are asking, how safe is it for a black child from Haiti, of all places, to be raised by a woman who doesn't even believe slavery was that bad? Someone on X said, Jillian Michaels' daughter is probably so traumatized living with a mother who thinks that black people are responsible for their own oppression.
Damn.
And another person added, Jillian Michaels is your typical example of, I can't be racist. I have a black child. Only God knows what these children really go through behind the scenes, and what these celebrities' real intentions are when they adopt them.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I ain't never get that anyway. Why a white family would adopt a black kid anyway. I don't get it. I don't get it. But maybe it's not meant for me to get. But like I said, folks, this is black history right here. This is what they trying to get rid of. And I guess Trump or whoever is coming after the people who vote like me, the people who understands and know what's going on and what's transpiring around them. So, like I said, Cat, you know what I mean, Lord be with Cat, because Cat Williams, he be putting out some heat. You get what I'm saying? And like I said, you know, like you said, the ops don't like that. I don't like it, but like I said, that's it for another video. Like I said, I truly appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. Hit that like button below. You see that bell icon, hit it so you can be notified when my videos drop. And as always, peace, love, safety. Jay is out.